Steaming on the kitchen table, part 1. Using my model steam engine test plant that I assembled a while ago with the Stuart Models beam engine in the kitchen. Just one of the many benefits of living by yourself. I've filled the water tank, and I also have 3 small bottles of water in reserve, because once the injector starts working, it initially uses a lot of water. The boiler and burner system of this model steam engine test plant really is very good, and the steam test that you're about to see takes place with a very low level, in fact almost empty gas tank. The gas tank is sat in a plastic tub which contains tepid, not hot, water. As the gas evaporates inside the tank chills, and this helps prevent it. That was the wonderful sound of the 2 gas burners being lit by holding a flame over the chimney and then opening the gas valve. I'm really pleased with this boiler. I modified the burners to let some more air in and change the ceramic. And the good thing about this boiler, like no other boiler that I have, is that when I use it indoors, it doesn't smell bad. The combustion of the gas is very efficient, so you don't get the bad smell that you often get from many gas-fired boilers. Having said that, I have opened the top window in the workshop which is next to the kitchen. I don't want to die of carbon monoxide poisoning. This boiler takes quite a while to raise steam, mainly because it's 6 inches in diameter and has twin water tube flues, so most of the boiler that you see is full of water. And this is great for a test plant because I won't have to be doing too much at it. Once steam is raised, the engine will run without much attention. You will see me draining the exhaust condenser, that's necessary. And also a couple of times in this video I use the live steam injector to put some more water in the boiler. I often receive questions from viewers asking me things like, can I use a steam engine to run my workshop? Can I use it to drive a generator? And the answer is yes. But to be honest, even a gas-fired steam boiler does need constant attention. You need to keep your eye on it at all times. I recently bought a wooden cabinet from a friend of mine, and I think it's really good. It sits in the window in the kitchen and allows me to store steam engines in. So when I'm eating my breakfast, I can watch them, and this gives me quite a bit of pleasure these days. Here I'm moving around the cabinet so you can see what's inside it. It's only small, but it really is a cabinet full of wonderful things. During the time it took to film the cabinet, the pressure in the boiler is now rising. And I'm amazed because there really is so little gas in this tank, and I would think that all the propane in the butane-propane mix has evaporated by now. I've opened the steam valve. I'm not going to open the drain cocks because I don't want oily water all over the engine. By rotating the engine with the steam valve open, the cylinder soon warms up and the engine starts to run on very little pressure. During this video, when the shots are of the engine running, I will stop talking. I'll continue the narration when I feel the need to add some details. I'm opening the steam valve a bit wider to let more steam into the engine, and this is very unrealistic for a beam engine. But basically I am a child in an old man's body and I'm just playing with it. Sometimes this engine starts ticking, particularly after a fast run, and I think that's because the oil has been flung off from the end of the connecting rod. I did notice that it runs much quieter if I actually oil the crank pin bearing using steam oil, which is thick and gloopy and doesn't spin off quite so much as normal lubricating oil. In the clips that you've been watching, the engine is only running at 25 pounds per square inch. Working pressure is 60 pounds per square inch, more about that shortly. The exhaust steam from the engine, including the oil, is piped to the condenser oil trap, and this needs emptying periodically. I open the valve on the top of the condenser, which I've just done. Then I need to run the engine at a good speed to pump the water out of the condenser, and here it is going into a bowl. The last thing to come out is a load of oil, because oil floats on water. Once steam starts to come out of the pipe, it's time to shut the condenser drain valve. That's the one on the top. I really do like this boiler. It's great for this job. I've been running the engine for a while, albeit at a low pressure, but the water levels hardly dropped at all. The pressure inside the boiler is approaching 60 pounds per square inch, which is the maximum working pressure for this boiler. I think it's time to inject some water into it. First of all, I open the water valve to cool the injector, then I open the steam valve and slowly close the water valve. Something wonderful happens. Water is now being pumped into the boiler, and all I have to do is balance the steam and water, not forgetting to fill the tank, which empties very quickly. The injector makes a really nice noise when it's pumping water into the boiler, until the tank actually runs out of water. It doesn't really matter though, the water level is more than high enough on the gauge. Anticipating the next water injection into the boiler, I'm refilling the tank with some clean cold water. In this clip, if you look at the water gauge, you'll see that the pressure's dropped because I've just pumped a load of cold water in there. But even with this incredibly low level of gas, for some reason, the steam pressure level shown on the gauge starts to increase. All this RPM and power at 25 pounds per square inch. I'm just checking the gas canister and I don't think there's much gas in there at all. The water in the plastic tub is quite cold, so I'm going to change this for some tepid water once again. That sound was of course the relighting of the boiler. There's not a great deal of heat comes out of the chimney, which is a good sign. It means most of the heat is being transferred to the water via the twin flue tubes. With 60 pounds per square inch showing on the pressure gauge, the safety valve starts to blow off. Now I have some choices. I can either pump in some more water. There's so little gas in the tank, I thought I would just run the engine, which should take care of the excess pressure. After quite a while, I injected some more water into the boiler. After all this time, and the initial depth of the gas being very low in the canister, I'm surprised there's still any left. The only reason I turned off the gas is because I was hungry and I needed to make some dinner. This model steam engine test plant is a great success. I actually ran the test plant in the kitchen for about 2 hours, and there's no real smell in there. I did open a window as I mentioned earlier, but it's not a big window. And I don't think there's much carbon monoxide because I'm still alive. That's it for this one. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website. and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists, and by doing that you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists you can actually watch the videos back to back,